Photos can be used to capture moments' memories, but can also reveal things that may have previously gone unnoticed. There are quite a few cases in which parents have noticed something was wrong with their children with a camera or a camera flash that could have previously gone unnoticed to the naked eye. And then there are cases in which it ends up being outsiders who spot these strange details and photos better than you ever could. It's not uncommon for students to make a fuss about school journey, and many parents like to capture the moment with a friendly picture at the start of the day. To mark the important moment, many parents have the tradition of taking pictures on school journey after the long summer break in the US. While this might be a painful experience for awkward kids, it means the world to parents who will look back on the picture fondly after they graduate. Jimmy Andrews' mom took a photo of her children every year on the first day of school. This was a tradition that would lead to an emotive collection of incredible memories over the years. For Chloe, this was an important moment not only because she couldn't believe just how much her kids were growing up each year, and this was a cool way to document it, but this was also Andrews' first year at high school. Her child had grown up so fast, and Chloe was doing her best to appreciate every milestone in their speedy developments. Many parents cannot believe how fast their kids grow up, and Chloe was trying to appreciate every day with them to the fullest. Both mom and son always look forward to these photos. Kids might not appreciate how much these pictures mean to their parents given how nervous and excited they are about going to their first big day at school. Kids have their friends to reunite with, new teachers to meet, new classes to attend. It was always a nice moment, and no one expecting anything shocking or scary to happen to interfere with the back to school and this fun activity's excitement. The proud mom also had no idea that her single morning snap would turn into a viral sensation, quickly spreading across the world. This was not your average back to school picture as many people would think when looking at the picture. It seems like a few people that Chloe sent the picture to notice the shocking detail and began spreading it far and wide. The mother could have never guessed that she'd instigated such a frightening sensation. The family lived in a small town in Florida where there were plenty of open green spaces and lots of nature. As you can imagine from the picture of this area, given how much greenery it's surrounded by, all manner of wildlife could roam around. The perfect spot for the annual photograph was obviously in front of a big, beautiful tree in the front lawn in his tent. But who else would be joining the family for a beautiful snap of a special moment? Jimmy was always a good student. He enjoyed school and was really looking forward to the new adventure of 7th grade, though not without nerves. Of course, this is a big year for all children where they're on the verge between childhood and becoming a teenager. Many kids might feel that they're far older or more mature than they're accepted as, but in this case, Jimmy was simply happy to be where he was in his development and education. The picture was taken as per usual, and Chloe took her beloved son to school. But when Jimmy arrived at school that morning, there were people whispering and pointing at him. He really had no idea why or what to make of it, and at first he felt a little insecure. He knew that school could be an unforgiving environment when it came to the meanness of kids, but he couldn't think of any reason why he would be the negative center of attention. Jimmy was starting to feel very alone as almost everyone around him seemed to be staring at him with amusement and curiosity. Thankfully, a good friend of Jimmy's immediately approached him, but surprised him by saying, "Jimmy, you and your new friend are an internet sensation." What friend was he talking about? And how on earth was he an internet sensation? Jimmy had never done anything worthy of viral fame, or so he thought. A quick look on Instagram solved the mystery. Jimmy's mom had shared that morning's picture on Instagram, and his dad shared it on his business page on Facebook. The snap was already getting a lot of attention, and fellow students were impressed by Jimmy's now famous snap. However, what was it that had caused such exciting waves on social media? In addition, was Chloe aware that she had broken the internet with a single innocent snap? Her son had become a mini celebrity in just a few hours. In today's digital world, where people can share any moment or experience with the entire world, with the press of a button, many people will unwittingly share images and videos that others will pick up incredible amounts of detailing that the original poster might not have initially noticed. In order to understand just why the snap was such a sensation, let's go back to the scene of the crime, so to speak, the moment the photo was taken. But in this case, it seemed that those involved in this particular sensational image soon became aware of the shocking detail that was included in their scene. Jimmy was by a tent in his front lawn, and Clue had managed to take 2 snaps when she asked Jimmy to show his teeth for the picture and a big smile. At that moment, she noticed something move ever so slightly on the tent beside her son. Lord, it was scary. Those words were clues on the moment she realized her son might be in danger. There was a snake slithering down the tent to the right side beside her precious son. It just so happened that the snake was perfectly camouflaged against the tent, thanks to its coloring. It also didn't help that the tent trunk was deeply shaded by other tents. It took them some time to realize that a potentially deadly visitor had photobombed the otherwise joyful Snap. She asked Jimmy to give a big smile, showing his teeth, and just as Jimmy was about to comply, Clue's face changed completely as her eyes wandered to a movement happening just a few inches from Jimmy's left shoulder. It seemed like another visitor had taken Jimmy's suggestion to show his teeth, but this wasn't the type of smile that anyone wanted to see unless they were crazy about highly venomous reptiles. More like bare your fangs, Mom. Clue didn't want to create panic, which would only stress out both her daughter and possibly the snake, too, which could have fatal results. So she told Jimmy calmly to come to her. But Jimmy wasn't done with posing for the pictures yet. We find it amazing that this courageous mother was able to keep calm when faced with the possibility that her son was faced with incredible danger. But anyone who knows about snake attacks would respect her for this reaction. Jimmy was surprised and disappointed that they were done with the morning photo tradition so soon, and when his mom asked him to come here, he looked at her like she's not done taking pictures just yet. His mom then said calmly, "Jimmy, get away from the tent now." But her face was deadly serious. Jimmy told Florida News, "I said it calmly, but I'm sure my face said it all. It was essential that the young man get away from the tent as quickly and calmly as possible." Luckily, Fleur knew that she had to keep calm for her son's sake, and so to not upset the snake, which could be a deadly move. Jimmy's arm had basically been presented for the snake for biting and was only a few inches away from his head and potentially deadly things. The moment Jimmy reached his mom safely, Clue breathed a sigh of relief. It was only then that she pointed out the snake to her young son. The idea that she'd been so insanely close to the slough of the snake made Jimmy panic at first and run inside the house, and his mom came in after him, even having a little cry of relief that they were both unscathed. This was a completely understandable reaction given how long Jimmy had been standing right next to the snake. Thankfully, it did not seem disturbed by the boy's presence and proximity, and Jimmy had walked away unscathed. Once safely inside the house, Clue called a local snake professional to identify the type of snake and move the snake away from the local residential area. However, by the time they arrived, the snake was nowhere to be found, making everyone nervous again. It seemed that the snake had ventured beyond the cool and shady pleasure of the large tent. What if someone else was in danger now? The family and experts were now unsure of what to do next. As it turned out, Jimmy had an experience as a child which had left him very afraid of the slithering species. He was now terrified to leave the house, especially since the snake had blended so well with the tent and such perfect camouflage, making him think it could pop out of nowhere at any time. The combination of the very real threat of the stealthy snake and Jimmy's historical trauma with the species left him almost paralyzed with fear. Although he himself was also still nervous, Clue put on her parent hat and gave young Jimmy a little pep talk, encouraging him to not be afraid and start getting into the car so they could start work and school as planned. Jimmy had never expected to be so terrified within his own school, and that the otherwise mundane act of getting into his mom's car would go to school would become such a scary ordeal. Luckily, the photo that Clue had taken allowed the experts to identify the snake. And although some at first thought that the snake was a most poisonous and dangerous kind, it turns out it was a gray rat snake. They're mostly harmless snakes that are non-venomous and will not attack a person or animal unless they're directly bothered. If anything, Jimmy's new friend probably enjoyed the impromptu photo session and made a new friend. Gray rat snakes are extremely skillful climbers. As demonstrated in this now famous photo, they can grow to over 6 feet long, indicating that this one is still a youngster. Maybe he thought that he was in 8th grade too. That could explain where the snake had gone off to. Although we doubt that snakes have any kind of formal education, was there any chance that Jimmy and the young snake could be friends one day? Finally, they found a turnoff and pulled over, by which point Kim, they nicknamed the Snake, had disappeared into the back and the couple jumped out. They at first kept their distance from the vehicle, caught their breath, and studied their nerves. They finally saw him hiding under the spare tire and eventually slithered off. He didn't even say thanks for the free ride. The only payment the slithery hitchhiker left was a nerve-tingling memory.